I want to confess something, and that is I was initially dubious about the claims concerning Bill Gates and his supposed support for, seemingly for what could be called euphemistically population control, but what appeared to be what does appear when you look more closely at it to be a concerted effort to depopulate huge swaths of the world's population. Now, the way that this is talked about is through the term overpopulation. Overpopulation is, of course, a value-laden term. It assumes that there are too many people out there, and that there need to be fewer people than there are. And of course, that raises a whole host of questions. First of all, what is too many? If people are starving, if there's not enough food for everybody, then perhaps you could make a case that the population has grown out of control. But all this Malthusian rhetoric, that the population expands exponentially while food never can be provided, can never be expanded exponentially in the same way. So we will inevitably have people dying off of hunger, and that's just a necessary thing. That's just got to happen. Thomas Malthus, his whole thesis, which proved to be false in every way. With that in mind, knowing that this thesis has been proven to be wrong by reality, what you're left with is, well, first of all, wondering what is meant by overpopulation. What are these people who are excess, who are baggage, who are considered to be gumming up the works? When you hear people like Bill Gates and others of their ilk talk about overpopulation, surely they're not talking about themselves, they're not talking about their families, they're not talking about their friends, their rich and powerful pedophile friends like Jeffrey Epstein. They're not saying these people, there's too many of these kind of people. They're talking about the third world mostly, but they're probably also talking about, they're probably just talking about people in general, the faceless hordes that they just consider to be less than themselves. And of course, there is evidence that this group, this claque, that to a great extent rules the roost and to a great extent wants to get their way. There is evidence out there that they want to reduce the world's population by as much as 95%. Check out my videos or anybody else's videos on the Georgia Guidestones. Now, the Georgia Guidestones, it reads, what the first commandment is we should have a manageable human population of no more than 500 million people, right? That's an enormous reduction from the number of people who are alive in the world right now. So how do you get from where we are right now to 500 million? That's a question that ought to be raised by everybody who has a brain, right? And just who are, these are people who actually think that 95% of the population don't deserve to live, shouldn't be living, are just excess baggage, and it would be better if they were gone. Well, again, that should click into your mind whenever you hear someone use the term overpopulation, because this term is, as I said, a value-laden term. Anyway, that's a bit of a preamble to the main thing I wanted to talk about. So when you talk about overpopulation, when you hear someone like Bill Gates say we can do something about the problem of overpopulation, the term you really should think of, that you really should be using, is depopulation. That depopulation is not a value-laden term. It's just simply describes what Bill Gates and his cronies seem to want to do, which is to reduce the human population by a huge amount, apparently. Maybe not as much as 95%. Maybe they have more limited goals or more limited ambitions than that. Although, knowing these people and knowing their grandiosity, knowing their apprehension of themselves as somehow godlike, I wouldn't put it past them to have something like 500 million, reduction of 95%, killing off. Let's just put it baldly, the killing off of 95% of the human population. I wouldn't put that past them as an ambition. So anyway, this is getting back to what I wanted to talk about, which is a video that I actually first saw a couple of years ago, and that I was dubious about it at first. And what it shows is, and I'll try to find it. I don't know whether I'll be able to find it these days, because you type in something into the YouTube algorithm, and you type in Bill Gates and population control, and you're likely to just get like 300 videos about how wonderful Bill Gates is, and how all the people who are down on him are just conspiracy theorists who are bad people. So I don't know if I'll be able to find this video, but if somebody else can find it, I believe it's from a TED Talk. And in this video, he talks about how through the application of vaccines, through the usage of vaccines in the third world, we can reduce the overall population. We can make population manageable again in the third world. And I remember at the time, a lot of people were posting this and saying, this shows that Bill Gates wants to kill people. And at the time, I was kind of dubious, because I was thinking, well, he doesn't say that he wants to kill people here. He just says, through the application of this vaccine, if we vaccinate people, this will have the effect ultimately of depopulation. He doesn't put it that way. He puts it a way that is more palatable to his perspective on removing huge swaths of the human population. But I call it depopulation because that's what it is. But so anyway, I was dubious. I was doubtful at the time, and it seemed like sort of scaremongering. But lately, I should also clarify that it wasn't that at the time I thought Bill Gates was a great guy. I just thought, well, where's the smoking gun? Where's the thing where he says, kill people, right? But looking back on this now, looking back on this TED Talk, I believe it was, that was delivered by Bill Gates a few years ago, the question does manifest itself in my mind. And that question is, what exactly does he mean? How does he mean this? How do you put those pieces together? If he's saying we need to vaccinate the third world, and ostensibly the reason we need to vaccinate the third world is so that they won't be so disease ravaged anymore, right? That's the ostensible reason behind vaccination, is to help these populations deal with these diseases that are killing so many of them. Then if that's what he's after, if that's what he wants to do, how is that supposed to lead to a reduction in the human population in that region of the world? How does that make sense? I mean, one is left with just a couple of possibilities. as to what he's saying, unless there's some other possibility that I just haven't thought of. But what's interesting that he doesn't square the circle. He doesn't make it explicit what he's saying, what he means. But it's a question. It begs the question, and the phrase "to beg the question" that's often abused. People often talk about something begging the question when they really mean it just raises the question. But in this case, what he says, what Bill Gates says in this talk, does beg the question. The question that it begs is how, by giving the population vaccines which are supposed to make the population healthier, and again, put aside what you think of vaccines, whether you're pro-vax or anti-vax. That's not really the issue here, okay? The ostensible reason for Bill Gates pushing these vaccines or talking about these vaccines is, health and safety, and he's going to, supposedly be saving lives by doing this. So how by saving lives is he going to be reducing the human population? And yet that's what he talks about doing. That's what he's saying is going to be one of the benefits of vaccination, that it will bring relief for overpopulation. So he's got to mean one of two things. He's got to mean that either there's something directly will be introduced through the vaccine, perhaps a sterilization agent, or perhaps something in the vaccines will ultimately be lethal. And I know that those both sound, for the uninitiated, those both sound a little out there. But you tell me, how will giving vaccinations to a population, how is that going to result in depopulating the population? How is that going to result in there being fewer people? It would seem that if you believe in vaccines, and if vaccines really do cure diseases and prevent people from getting these diseases, it seems like that would have the effect of boosting the population, because there will be more healthy people, and those more healthy people will reproduce more, and other healthy people, and more people will thrive. So it's just, again, a couple of years ago, it just didn't seem like the smoking gun was there. But now, thinking back on this same video, of course, with the perspective that we have right now, with what's happening in the world right now, with the role that Bill Gates has attempted to steer himself into as some kind of savior of the world, ostensibly through developing this vaccine for this ostensible virus that's ostensibly killing so many people, even though it isn't, if you look at the data. So again, what does he mean when he says this? It just doesn't hold water. It doesn't make sense. And unless there's something I'm missing, there you have it. So I will try to find this video and post it below, but I'll probably have trouble finding it right now. But I've summarized it anyhow. So let me know what you think. Andy Nowicki, altrightnovelist.com, Andy Nowicki, lowstatusnovelist.blogspot.com.